I'm moving forward every day, Jesus. I just let him lead the way every second, every minute, every hour of the day. I'm moving with Jesus every day, 24/7. With Jesus every day, 24/7. With Jesus, I'm moving with Jesus every day. Anti-socialized relationship. There is no doubt that technology has blessed us immensely as a species. There's also no doubt that it has imposed some challenges that are of concern to many. One such challenge is in the area of our relationships as social beings. While we have advanced in technology, we have also seen some setbacks in how we communicate and interact with each other as social beings who live and dwell in this space. A double-edged sword, you might say. For instance, most people on the planet own a cell phone, a mobile phone, that affords us now the opportunity to be in constant communication with our loved ones, while at the same time, for many, that communication has never been in greater peril, owing largely to the very technology that we have. Today, we continue our discussion on anti-socialized relationships. Welcome to JC 24/7. I'm Pastor Kishford Frank. And again with me, my two special guests to continue this discussion, Mrs. Petra Pear Robertson, motivational speaker, youth leader, and one who, as part of her day job, interacts with the technology on a regular basis. Welcome, Petra.
Thank you.
Happy to have you. We also have Mr. Andre Charles. This man has technology written all over him. Yes. He is an information technology teacher, a computer science teacher, a technology consultant, and an all-round technology enthusiast. Welcome, Andre.
Thank you very much for having me for the second time.
Yes. How are you guys doing today?
It's the start of the year, so it's always optimistic until you realize some of the goals that you set.
Later on.
Yeah, later. Yeah, so it's a wonderful thing.
Petra, is that the same for you?
Yes, optimistic.
Okay.
Very optimistic.
Okay.
Yes.
Now let's get right into it. Last time we went into the dynamics of anti-socialized relationships, and for those of you who missed it, this is a good time to let you know, you can go to our YouTube channel and pull that up. Anti-socialized has to do with the ability or unwillingness, the inability or unwillingness to be able to interact with people in a normal way. Last time we were looking at it in terms of largely the social setting. Today we want to zero in on the home front as we talk about the dynamics going on there. Petra, let's begin with you. We are at a stage and the era when having a mobile phone is center stage, our communication system. Let's talk about the impact of that on domestic relationships. What impact can this have on the husband-wife, parent and child, sibling relationships?
That's a very loaded question, you know.
I like it loaded.
Yes, that's a loaded question because you need a cell phone. I mean, you jot your notes. You have so many different apps you can use to help you on a daily basis to accomplish your various tasks. So it's a very useful device. However, based on the motivation and based on the intent for use, it can also go to the opposite end of the continuum. So a cell phone is good for a parent to keep in contact with a child. You don't have to school is over, where mommy, rain is falling, can you pick me up?
Yes.
As the case, maybe keep in contact. A cell phone is good. A cell phone is good for family to know where each other is, if you are in distress, if you need help. Communication technology, fine, that's a phone call.
Yes.
But a cell phone is not a telephone. A cell phone now is a device that allows you to do a multiplicity of things. Things that are positive and things that are negative.
Yes.
And if the balance isn't found, it can be very negative. For example, you could be having dinner around the dinner table and everyone is on the cell phone. There is no communication going on. You can leave your child with a cell phone. You go to bed, everyone goes to bed. They know they cannot use the computer or whatever, but the same applications on the computer, on the cell phone.
Yes.
So they can be on the cell phone engaging in activities that they should not be engaging in, or speaking as the case may be. And a lot of statistics have shown that cell phone usage, parents look at children suspiciously because they find the children always on the cell phone, so that's discontent. And the children look at the parents and say, but you always on your cell phone too. When I want to talk to you, you're busy on your cell phone.
Yes.
So it can, if it's not properly managed, we can have some serious problems with a device that should really be very useful.
Yes. I mean, in addition to your professional portfolios, you both are parents. And Andre, as a father, let's talk about this same impact on the parent-child relationship. How can this, impact that relationship? Can there be strain and stress on such relationships?
Yes, there can, because what you would tend to realize is there's a generation gap, and the way that they want to communicate and the way that you want to communicate, they're at odds. So there are times when I have long conversations with my son via text, and we would be in the same house, we're in the same place, right?
Me too.
Because when I had that conversation with him in person, the reactions and the responses were very muted, they were very docile and whatnot. But when we had it via text, he actually opened up. So I won't tell you what the conversation was, but it was one of those important conversations that you should have with your son.
With your son, yes.
I was shocked that it came out so well, because there was an element of he would rather speak about it this way. And it was very weird to me, because I was like, okay, we have to sit down, we have to face each other, we have to make ite contact. But it didn't work out that well. But I'm glad that we were able to communicate that way. So there is an element of give and take, where when it comes to me personally as a parent, and I understand why they would rather it, because they are growing up in it. It is their reality. Our reality was not that. So I won't demonize it, but it could go south really, really fast, because one day you may not ever even have a physical conversation if you don't manage it very well. So you have to force a little bit into the physical, but there is an element of take what you get sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if I may, just to build on that in terms of, sharing, well, we didn't share for that because, and then it would vary from relationship to relationship.
Yeah.
So that may work there. It comes back to what we were saying last week, the starter.
Yeah.
For some persons, it will be difficult to start.
Yeah.
So this allows them the opportunity to start.
Yes.
But then they come into each other's environment and they build. In my case now, that will not be necessary, because I'm able to speak to my son, if we having like conversations, we do it eyeball to eyeball,
Yes.
He say, "Okay, mommy, I know you were setting me straight." I'll say, "Come, we need to have a conversation." But then sometimes when he will message, "Where are you now?" and he's in his room and I'm in my room, "You can bring some water for me, that sort of thing. Or he said, "Mommy, I know you're messaging me." I say, "I can't get up now. Pass me something in the kitchen," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so clearly, there are the positives that
Yes.
it affords. If you're not able to make the starter in person, like Andre's experience,
Correct.
you're able to do that on the phone. Would you say that, how about the problem? The problem, I think, comes when that is where the relationship lies. That father-son that you want to have is maintained via the text.
Yeah, that would be a definite
versus
problem. Yeah.
having the
Yes.
real experience in person
Correct.
and exchanging.
Correct.
What I've noticed is that having father-son relationship or father-daughter relationships, it's a lot easier when you do an activity. when you do that activity, let's say you go and play football, let's say you're outside, let's say you're doing something, you could bring up those conversations in the midst of the activity.
That's right.
But when there is no activity taking place to act as a foundation, it's kind of odd for children to just be like, oh, let's just sit and talk. They don't see it that way, because they see communication as something that you do naturally.
It has to come naturally.
Yes.
So it's very awkward when you say, come son, we have to talk.
Yes.
It doesn't work out.
Correct.
So most conversations would usually happen while we are playing football or while we're kicking or whatnot. And I'll ask him, so why you did so bad in that test?
Yes.
And then we just kick the ball back and forth, and the conversation takes place in the process. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Let's get into that. You mentioned something, Andre, regarding the disconnect between generations.
Yes.
And let's get into that a bit. The Gen Zs and the Gen Alpha. You have parents of these youths now who might be very hard on them or not able to understand they are on the cell phone just constantly because that's all they know. For parents who did not grow up exposed to this same mobile lifestyle and being on the device all the time, do you think that they can be too hard on the Gen Zs and Gen Alphas who this is all they know? They grew up knowing just this.
It's a difficult question, because too hard is a very to measure what too hard is.
Yes.
But I do think that there could be a lack of understanding.
All right.
A lack of understanding, meaning that my father would have been too hard on me for something that we had a disconnect for, me not have been his cell phone, but it could have been that he just didn't understand that this is how I am being cultured now, and he should take a little time to come into my culture and grasp it. So yes, it may be seen as too hard, but I think it's more just like a cultural disconnect. And whenever there's a cultural disconnect, everybody struggles. Everybody
Yes.
struggles.
What do you think a Gen Z or Gen Alpha looking at this program right now is saying? Do you think they're answering this question in the affirmative, that the parents are too hard?
Yes.
Yeah, of
Yes,
course.
they would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gen Z and Gen Alpha would say, you see, look at them again.
Yeah.
Bashing
Schoolwork on it.
it.
Bashing, yeah.
When you go in the room, and now pick it up,
Yeah.
and now check it for the first time for the day.
Yeah.
I'm doing my homework, you just picked the wrong time to come in.
Yeah.
Parents,
Yes.
they always judging us.
And you don't
And
understand.
when we come in your room, you on it too. You on it too. So why is a problem when I on it?
Right.
You know?
Are those concerns, and we talk about being too hard or not on this generation? Do you think that maybe equally the generation, Gen Z's, Gen Alpha, need to appreciate the concerns that their parents might have, why they are maybe pressuring them or pushing against their time spent on the devices? Do you think that they too need to appreciate this here?
On the other side. Because you see, what you have here, it depends to, as you mentioned, on I think the word you used there with the parents, the cultural shift.
Cultural
Some
disconnect.
parents have shifted very easily. Some parents are still disconnected. So I put a phone in my son's hand when he was in primary school. But I felt that at that level, he should learn how to manage his use of the phone properly. I need to be in contact with you. It's a smartphone. This is WhatsApp. This is this. This is what you must do. This is what you mustn't do. Of course, he's in primary school. So I am making sure I check in that phone like a policeman. And I'm filtering it. So if I am a parent who, because I'm a parent who in contact with the technology.
Yes.
And I know the advantages of the technology. And I don't want to not benefit from the advantages because I don't understand the technology. So if you are a parent who doesn't understand the technology, try to understand it, because the technology could help you in a lot of ways, but you have to know how to manage it.
Yes.
So when I put it in his hand, I managed it and monitored it. But I was a parent who moved with the cultural shift, knowing that my responsibility now is, if I lose control of that phone in the hands of a primary school child, I have lost control of that child, because the phone is an avenue to so many other ills. So parents, if you have parents who don't understand the technology, they could come down unnecessarily hard on their children. I don't want you on WhatsApp. I don't want you on the phone. I don't want you on this. I don't want you on that. As opposed to saying, remember, this is WhatsApp. Be careful. You know how to judge right from wrong. Know how to block. Know how to, and know that since you are a child and I'm a parent, the tail is not wagging the dog. So just like the police have roadblocks and say, give me your license. At any point, I can say, give me your phone. Let me do a spot check of your phone.
All right.
Because you are
that sounds
still
good.
a child.
That sounds good. That
Yeah.
sounds like good tip for some parent
Yeah,
listening
parents,
right now.
you have a child in your
Yes,
home.
we talk about the move, and you mentioned moving with the times, moving with the era, moving with the technology, so that you are up to speed with where your children are going in their generation. There are thousands of parents out there who, looking at this right now, may not, for one reason or another, be as tech savvy as you are as a parent. And so there's the disconnect even right there in being able to master the technology. Let's talk about that. For the family setting where the children are very tech savvy and the parents are behind, how can this be helpful or harmful to the relationship there in the home?
Well, I can answer. One of the things that I've done is I've been teaching children about technology for years. But I started an adult technology class in like 2020, right? And when you expose the adults to how technology works and they understand the ins and outs of certain things and they're better equipped, they're now able to go and say, here's son, I'm giving you this. This is what I don't want you to do, and this is why.
Right.
Because when you don't know something, all you could do is put down a blanket rule based on an ignorant big notion. And when I did that technology class, I was surprised at how happy parents were to be like, wait, so this is what happens? I should protect myself from this? Yes, even so, more so my children. But the understanding of it helps a lot. And getting educated about it is the most important thing. Because just like when you have to get married, you go to marriage counseling to understand the things, the ins and outs, the things that could happen. You need some technology counseling also, because it will inform the decisions that are made. And once you make an informed decision, this generation of educated children will respect an informed decision.
Yes, from the parents.
Yeah, other than just a blanket rule where they cannot
substantiate it. With
discuss
any
or have
evidence
any
like
discourse
that.
because they're too smart.
You're right.
They know.
So part of parenting today is tech education.
Yes. I agree 100%.
We need to advise all parents out there right now to get on board. Since this is here and your children are a part of it. If you're going to parent successfully, you must be a part of it as well.
Yes, I agree. 100%.
And you have to be willing also to learn from your children because they are more savvy than you. Because sometimes I get tired with, I am into technology and sometimes I get tired with, a next one come out.
Yes.
As you learn this one, the next one come out, you have to be on the cutting edge all the time because it's constantly changing. So the same way you would communicate with your child, talk about anything, well, I do. We talk about anything.
Yeah.
Mommy, sometimes I say, mother, you feel like a friend.
Right.
But yeah, as a friend too, but I say, mother, the same way you talk about it, I make it say, hey, so where's that one? Show me now how you get that one.
Yes.
Put some emoji on my phone. Look how your phone doing, fix up mine too now.
And sometimes you have to act like you don't know.
Correct.
Okay.
Because even me, I know.
Yeah,
But sometimes I act like, so what happening there? What taking place? So they will explain to you what's going on, and they find out joy in the fact that you actually care about their world inside that technological world. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and so those would be some of the tips. So parents take note. These are some of the tips to level the playing field with this disconnect. You feel as though you are lost. You feel this is not for me. And maybe that's one of the things too that we might need to let parents know.
Yes.
It is not, this is not for me. It's part of parenting today.
Yes, it is parenting in the 21st century.
And the technology is going to continue to grow. We're not going back to the to paper society the same way when we moved from stones to scrolls to books. We don't go back to stones.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're not going back to, before before COVID, it used to be like that. It's not going to happen. The technology is going to continue to mushroom. So you either get on board or you will be left off.
Now, of course, remember we're balancing the playing field here. So while we're saying all of this, it's still important to note that even in instances where the parent might not have a fully informed understanding of the technology, but they have precautions that they are putting in place, it's still important that our children heed to these for their own safety.
Yes.
Still important.
Yes.
Still important.
The thing would be, when we give them guidelines, they must be able to see the ill effects. So usually when you teach them how to cross the road, you'd probably explain or show something about, you remember that one that got in an accident, look at this person and whatnot. There is some sort of representation, not visual representation, but real life representation of these are the ills that could take place. This is why I want you to reach home by 6 o'clock. This is why I want this. This is why I want that. This is why I don't want you going on these things and talking to random people, because these are the things that take place. And the information is all out there, You could just go and watch a few YouTube videos and educate yourself enough, and then just probably pick one of them and have that discussion, or probably send them the video and say, here, I was looking at this. This is probably something.
Even when you tell them you're addicted to the phone, don't just tell them you're addicted to the phone. Tell them, here, why you're addicted to the phone. Can you go? Let me hold this phone for a day now.
Yeah. And
Okay.
Mommy,
strategies.
you're addicted. Okay,
Yeah.
let's exchange phone. I keep your phone and you keep my phone. Oh, see, I didn't think so. Me, because I didn't think. But you always scrolling through my phone. Why I can't be, trying to always scrolling through your phone?
Yeah.
But then when you scroll through theirs, you know what I mean? You have these little, give them in conversation addiction. So listen to me. Do you find yourself, anywhere you and they run and say, hey, you're popping now? What do you mean? Every time your phone go up, you had to run to it. You're being controlled by that.
Yes.
Phone have more power than me, boy. Phone controlling you. You show them little ways. Because these are symptoms that you may be getting addicted. You must level up on a game. You must run when you hear a notification. As you wake up in the morning, you pull it here. So we have to show them you might be getting addicted. So you could stop them.
Let's talk about the addiction. Because of course, just about all of the ills that we have in real life, we have it on the virtual arena as well. Which is why I talked about just now following the cautions of parents, even when they might not be informed technologically. You have predators online. The same as how mommy would try to stop you from going certain places physically because they are pedophiles and they are rapists and all of that. You have that online as well, and so you have to be cautious of that. And so the child who spends an inordinate amount of time on their devices, you talked earlier, and we've all either seen it, heard it, or experienced it around us somewhere, where folks at the dinner table or where there's a conversation going on in person, they're on the device. What are some of the signs that there is an addiction here when it comes to the mobile device, the technology? Your child is either there in addiction mode or heading in that direction. What are some of the signs a parent can look for?
I think one of them is withdrawal symptoms, where if you take away the phone, somebody who is not addicted is able to occupy themselves otherwise seamlessly. So if I take away a phone from my son or my daughter, they will go outside, play with, I'm not saying that they will, my children are perfect, but I would expect them to go and play with the dog, go and do something or whatnot. But if the phone is taken away or the device is taken away and they just sit down in utter shock for 20, 30 minutes, twiddling their thumbs, that's because they have no other outlet available. They've never been trained to have another outlet. They've never seen a board game. They've never seen outside. They've never seen physical conversation. They never tried to cook. They never had fish, dog, whatever it is. So that will be a surefire sign, and that might be an actual red flag to the parent, to let them know that, when you take this away, you take away their life. They have nothing else to do. So therefore, you may want to try to open up their different avenues of expression to them.
So for instance, maybe they are constantly feeding a dog or a cat on the phone, maybe you can get them one, a
real-
pet that
yeah.
they can feed.
Something like that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What else can parents look for? Red
You have
flags.
the relapse, you have the others where he tells them, if I take away the phone from you, then for the next, you see them sit doing nothing.
Yeah.
What they are actually doing is sitting waiting to get back the phone.
Protest, yeah, sort of
Right?
protesting, yeah.
And then when the phone is given back to them, they are even worse than they were before. You know, like you take someone who is addicted to alcohol or cocaine out of the environment.
They go deeper.
And they out of the environment and you say, good, they're doing better. And when you put them back in the environment,
Yes.
they go
Bam.
deeper.
Yeah.
Signs of addiction, mood, all the time they're good with the phone, you know, when they have the phone, they're happy, no phone.
Yeah.
It's gone. The energy is gone. The life,
Everything
life
is
is
gone
gone.
out
There's a
of you,
shutdown.
yes. Where every time you hear, blurp,
Yeah.
they're in the kitchen, they talk with you and they're blurp, but they don't want you to say, oh, you get a message. So they're talking to you and they hear blurp, but you see.
Yeah.
You see
They
the
look
start
away.
to get
And so
nervous.
that addiction is real, and
Yes.
both parents and children must be aware of it and how they
When
can deal
parents
with
are
it.
addicted
Yes.
to it. I find we talking about the children plenty better. Parents
Who are addicted.
more addicted
Let's talk
than the
about
children.
solutions. Let's talk about solutions. How can we help the addict? What are some of the things that can be done?
One solution that I've found to be very, very useful that I use in school, because usually at the start of the term I have to present to all the parents of Form 1 and warn them about all of these things that we're talking about, right? So there is an app called Family Link, and there's an app called Screen Time. For Apple, it's Screen Time, and for Google, it's Family Link. What that does is it gives the parents the ability to create their child's phone as a child phone, and they will have the parent phone. And you could limit anything, how much time they spend on one app, how long it stays on, what time it shuts off, and those sort of things. So in my personal experience, I would have set a time frame of 3 hours per day for the screen to be on. Once those 3 hours done, you will see your phone has been locked because you have used up all of your time. Guess what the children will come and do? Daddy, I could get 10 more minutes.
They communicate with
They communicate and ask
They
for
have to come
time,
and
and ask for time, right?
Yeah.
And for the school, and when I do that in school, after the presentation, all the parents come up and be like, thank you very much, sir, whatnot.
That's powerful.
And then in Form 2, 3, and 4, they'll come and say, thank you very much for letting me know that, because now I have control over what they see and what they do, and I can have a discussion about them with them when they come and ask for more of something, and they'll be like, because normally they'll ask for, can I get 30 more minutes on Instagram? So you'll be like, why do you want to go on Instagram so much? What happens there that you need to know? So you get to see what is important to them, and knowing what is important to your children is one of the most powerful things as a parent.
Yes.
Because not that you'll use it as a tool to punish them, but you will also get to see where their affections lie and be able to make the right decisions based on what they do.
We need to talk after this program
Yeah.
so that you can
And
you can
for
hook me up.
parents, because, you know, they will say, what are our trends? And the parents are now,
Yeah.
you ain't have nobody to tell you your screen lock.
Yeah.
You need your internal motivation.
Yes.
So while you lock in child's screen, you on right through and they're
Some
watching
parents
you.
Yes.
need this as well.
Because so parents, you ain't have nobody to lock your phone. So your internal motivation, you might have to turn off your notifications, put your screen on grease
Set
screen.
boundaries. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Set your boundaries, have a
Yes.
schedule and stick to that schedule.
Yes.
You know, you will need to put tips in place for yourself.
Yes.
Because you want to model what you are telling your child to do. You know,
Yeah.
and also this most important one, kick the phone out of your bedroom when the night come.
Put it far away
Some
from you.
husbands and wives need to know that. Some
Yeah.
parents need to know
yes,
that.
take the
Yes.
phone out of the bedroom.
Yes, definitely.
Put you all in bed on the phone. When
Yeah.
the child come in on the phone to you, can't tell them nothing. You
True.
can't in bed and all your
Powerful.
phone, mommy and daddy always on the phone.
And so, an underlying thing that is coming through here is the whole matter of balancing the perspective for both parents and children.
Correct.
Having a proper appreciation for where you are, where I am, and we treat with each other in a
Correct.
particular way that you are not abusive of the device, you're not abusing the time, and you're using it wisely while I am doing the same.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you know, research was actually done on that. Yeah, so good library, right? A research was actually done on that in terms of how parents see their children use of cell phone and how
How
children see their parents use of cell phone. And it is interesting that they both saw each other the same way,
Yes,
and the percentages were similar. So parents, when you think you're a child always on the phone, you're a child thinking the same thing about you.
Yes. Before we close, we are almost out of time. Let's talk about why, the whole matter of why this insistence on maintaining this verbal communication. Both, the children as well as the parents might be just wondering, why are we going down this road and trying to preserve the verbal communication between parents and child, between every family member, so that we can have proper relationships going? Why? Why do we insist on this? What should be done if it's threatened? What?
I think you don't know a person unless you're around them. And if you're not around the person to have a verbal conversation, you will never know that person properly. You'll never be able to grasp who they are and their personality. So in a family, you should know each other. So I believe that verbal communication should be a priority. However, there should be some sort of understanding that the world is going a particular direction. So show that it is a priority while understanding that your child may not see it as a priority until they get older and realize it for themselves. Yeah.
It's a priority.
And I would like to put in more with the verbal, because, our smart children might say, well, when I send you a voice note, that verbal. When I'm talking to you on the phone, that verbal. What more you want than that? You hear my voice. So I think the whole aspect of communication, you encapsulated it so nicely last week when you talk about God coming down.
Yes.
Because this is great, as I said, to keep, but nothing beats the personal.
Yeah.
The non-verbals. We talked last week about the emojis and the LOL when you're not laughing. We talked about you could send a line with full stop and the person feel you shouting, but you're not shouting.
Yeah.
There are so many noises between when a simple look, because we speak without talking.
Yes.
You cannot speak without talking via the phone. And that's one of the sweetest forms of communication. When you can sit with someone, not say anything, or I say it like them, not say nothing, and you're communicating.
And you're exchanging.
That's a sweet part of communication that you cannot get by the cell phone.
Lovely. Guys,
we can't lose that.
we're out of time, but 30 seconds. What do you have to say to both parents and children when it comes to the technology? 30 seconds. Last words.
Set boundaries on either side and hold to them.
Balance the communication and maintain the face-to-face and the relationship.
Beautiful. Well said. Thank you very much, Petra, Andre. It's always a pleasure. Great having you, and you did so well again today. I'm sure parents and children have both been edified through what you shared here today. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, everybody at home, listen. God intends for us to have something real, something powerful. Even when sin brought a disconnect between us and our Heavenly Father, that we were not getting His verbal communication like He gave to Adam, He pursued us, gave the message to prophets, and later on sent His Son. And one of these days, because God is so insistent on talking to us face to face again, Jesus is going to come soon, take us home, where we would sit with our Father and we would communicate in person.
Correct.
Let us look forward to that and continue to be faithful as we seek Him. From all of us here at JC 24/7, it's a pleasure having you. Thank you for viewing. God bless you.